Good evening and welcome to the May 18th, 2016 legislative session of the Town Board. I'll ask that everyone please rise for the pledge. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, and I'll ask our clerk to please call the roll.
Cole.
Here.
LaFountain.
Here.
Metzler.
Here.
Moore.
Here.
Quinn.
Here. Thank you very much. Before we get started with our first item, which is a public hearing, I'm going to recognize a couple of special people. Barbara Quinn is our Dayton's Corners coordinator, also a teacher at Dayton's Corners School, and she also has one of the other teachers with her, and they've got a special event to talk about this evening, so I would invite Barb and Carol to the podium.
Thank you.
Thank you for being on time, class. In case there's any problems this evening, we have Miss Manners, who will take care of you. Keep your attention. You sit up straight and tall, feet flat on the floor, hands so I can see them. Excellent, Mr. LaFountain, with your hands up. We want to know exactly where your hands are at all times.
I learned from last year.
Yeah, you learned quickly because you sat up really nice and straight and tall. I am very pleased to come before you again this year to invite everyone to our annual Dayton's Corners School Pie Social with free pony rides for the kids. And it'll be held on Sunday, June 5th, from 2 to 4 in the afternoon. It is such an enjoyable and relaxing step back into history. And by the way, I did check the Farmer's Almanac, and it tells me it should be in the 70s with only a 10% chance of rain. Perfect. After last year's very successful and well-attended pie social, we have again ordered extra pies from Baker Street Bakery this year, and thanks to Bill and Mary Ellen Leonardo. I am so happy that people from the community have come in droves for pies, cookies, lemonade, pony rides, music, playground equipment, tours of the school, and informative conversations with the teachers. I would like to introduce one of our newest observers and hopefully teacher, Carol Gagan. Carol comes to us from St. Rita's School, St. Joseph's School, and from the cast of many productions of Penfield Players. Miss Manners has volunteered this year, and we will encourage her to help with the pie social and to become a full-time teacher at Dayton's Corners. This year at Dayton's Corners, we had almost 50 classes of fourth graders attend our beautiful 1857 school and held the school open for special visitations for various groups around the community. People who visit are always appreciative of what we do and what we have to offer them, and so attentive to the history presented at the gatherings. There is such interest this year that I've been asked to do presentations here in Penfield, various other places, and in Webster. I am so proud of our many teachers who tirelessly volunteer their time, talent, and expertise to teach the fourth graders who come to Dayton's Corners. It was fun this year, and it was fun that our board liaison and Councilwoman Linda Cole came to be a teacher's aide for one of our classes this year. Thank you, Linda. I also like to thank Supervisor Tony LaFountain, who supports this historic Penfield landmark through his many efforts, and the cutting of pies at the Pie Social, Town Historian Kathy Knauer for her constant contact with me, and also help at the Pie Social. Pie cutter Councilman Rob Quinn, we thank you very much also. And thank you, friends. So don't forget, Sunday, June 5th, from 2 to 4 at the Dayton's Corners Schoolhouse for our annual Pie Social. Class dismissed.
Ms. Brooks, Ms. Manners, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
We look forward to it. I am very excited. I think one of my new assignments is to watch Councilman Quinn to make sure he's cutting more and eating less. So I will continue to work on that. Thank you, and we look forward to another successful event.
Thank you for the time.
Absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Anytime and as always. Thank you very
Excellent.
much, and
Thank
we'll
you.
see you, if not before,
Yeah.
we will see you on the 5th.
Super.
All right.
Thank you very
Great.
much.
Thank you. All right, we'll move into our public hearing, and I'll ask our clerk to please identify the public hearing this evening.
To allow a 600-square-foot addition to the sit-down restaurant at 1789 Penfield Road, located at the Four Corners zoning district. The legal notice was published in the Penfield Post on May 5th, 2016, and posted on the town's website and the town clerk bulletin board. 13 postcards were mailed.
Great, thank you very much. Mr. Horowitz, is this properly before the board?
Yes, it is.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll ask our representative to come forward, give his name and address. We do have a number of the materials that you submitted. The board received that from Mr. Costello and other members of staff, including the PRC comments. But for the record, if you would let us know what you're doing, what you're planning, and the details associated with it. So welcome.
Thank you. My name's Andrew Hintonock, architect representing Sam DePrima and Joey's Pasta House, 92 Pulteney Street, Geneva, New York. I do have one more piece to give you guys as a better, accurate, colored rendition
Great.
of the building, because printers tend to muck things up a little bit. But I'll go through this first, and it's based on the reason the addition is going on. There's a couple of things working here, but the main reason is the popularity of the restaurant has made it so that when most people, and we were having a discussion before the meeting, come into the restaurant and they need to wait because of the popularity and have to wait for their seat for a fair amount of time, that they end up kind of stuffed in this area that's not really too conducive to people waiting. What we're going to end up doing is enlarging the building 12 feet out and along the full length here, a little bit back from the front corner so we can leave room for a patio. But this area here is really bar seating. That's what we've talked about. We've added a couple of seats to the bar and then this seating here so that when you do come in, you'll be able to relax a little bit easier over here, a little more comfortable than down in this area. And we're also talking about making the entry aisle into the restaurant 5 feet instead of the 3 feet that it is now. As part of the whole project, there's been a very kind of a not so great exit out of the parking lot here, which basically runs right along the building. And our addition is currently in this area, 12 feet out back to the corner, and we're also going to put a patio in. Now, what will happen there is we've discussed, this is what will happen, and as it is today, it should be, is the in drive over here that would remain existing on the west side of the building, and creating a nicer and better usable exit, which would get you out onto 441 a lot easier. The drive is 16 feet wide to be a one-way drive. And the building itself, get that to stay, good. Currently, the building, if you notice on the back side of the building, it's got a light beige kind of siding. That's it's a newer siding they've been working with. And in the front, it's gray. Well, the gray is going to go away. We're going to side the whole building with the newer beige siding. And we're going to add some windows here too. And also in the patio area, we'll probably do some panelized look with some color and some stone veneer. We have to have a column in the corner, so that'll have some stone veneer on it too, and a decorative railing around the patio. The existing stair and chimney and all this side of the building, the west side of the building, will remain the same. The real effect is on the east side of the building right now, and we're trying to also clean up some of the roof lines in here. There's multiple additions on this building. There's probably at least 4 just back here alone that we'll be cleaning up with a nice roof line across the whole thing. That's about it for what we're doing here. Any questions?
Oh, I'm sure there will be some number of questions overall, so I'd like to start, if we could, with the new or enhanced curb cut out onto 441. You said that it'll help improve access in and out. Will the access point to the west remain?
Yes.
As part of this as well?
Oh, and let me add on to that a little bit. When this is repaved, this will also be repaved. So that'll clean this up too and get it more distinguished as an entrance.
Okay.
Trying to really get it distinguished as an in and an out.
And that will be the intent, in and out, and it'll be so marked as such?
Correct.
Okay. And the assumption is that the access point out to Mott's Lane to the rear, that will remain the same?
That will remain the same as
Okay.
well. And that's, there's discussion about the whole traffic flow, and, we'll just take those questions as they come.
Okay. All right. And as part of the addition itself, I thought I saw a new set of stairs, if you will. So is that a new set, or is that just a set?
That is a new set.
Okay.
As part of adding functionality to the building. That'll be going down into the basement. We're going to put a basement in this addition, so that'll alleviate his use of the very short traditional basement that they have now that you have to bend over in, and it's difficult to access. So as part of the project, to help him, 50% of the addition will be going to the kitchen. And then, of course, underneath the whole addition will be for his use underneath the basement, or underneath the floor there. Storage, mainly. And a nice accessible, easy storage with a nice wide stair and lots of headroom, which they don't have now in their basement, so.
Got it. Got it.
The addition, it's mainly an issue of functionality for the restaurant, given its popularity and its use. These are the kind of things that will help make it a better functioning business.
I don't know if you mentioned it, increase the number of seating, what's
It will
the
increase the
goal?
number of seating. By square footage and state code, it takes it from 76 to 97. Although we're only adding 15 seats. So physically, because we still need that elbow room, we're not going to fill it up with tables. It's not meant for dinner seating. It's meant for that waiting seating.
Okay.
Does that include the outdoor seating, or just the?
Yes, that includes upstairs too. Yes, we're still below 100 with the seating.
But outside on the,
Outside will add, I don't know, maybe 6 four tops. But that's not really, that's for
seasonal
leisure.
seating? Yeah.
I don't think I don't know what the plans are with that and dinner and stuff like that. I think that's more of a relaxation
And
spot.
consideration's been given that, in terms of parking for that increased seating, I would imagine it's,
Well, we talked about parking a little bit. We have basically between our parking lot and what's on Mott's Lane, about 76 spaces. And if I take 10 more on top of the seating of 97, gets us to 107. And if I do the math with the spot and a half, that comes up to 71.3. So, which should really be a wash. I don't anticipate this getting any more popular than it is. It'll just be a whole lot more functional for the folks that are there. It's not really to add seating for dinner. It's not to grow it in that way. It's to make it a better place to be.
got it.
That itself might make it more popular, but if there's no parking, you'll have to go somewhere else. It's really a function of
Well,
those
is there
folks
a
moving on.
relationship with the businesses nearby, that, like the Realtor and so on, that aren't there?
Yes, and I'm sure that goes on in a regular basis, that they use lots that are, closed from 6 o'clock on, and the business is closed from 6 o'clock on. I think you talked about Nothnagel as one of them.
Right. Because it is very crowded there. Anytime I've tried to go over there, it's hard to find a parking spot.
Yeah.
It's so many, you have the parties going on in the party house, then you got the Joey's, and, yeah.
It's a good problem to have.
Yes.
It is a
as
good
a
problem to
business
have,
owner.
but there will be an increase, and one
I
must
don't
look
think
at
it's,
the
well,
alternative.
I don't look at it that way. I don't look at
No?
it like, oh, we're making a building with a little bit of an addition to increase the amount of customers. I think it'll have the same amount of customers. I just think it'll be a whole lot more functional
Okay.
than it is. You know, that's where that's where my logic goes
It could be,
with the whole thing. It's gonna be as popular as it is because it's got good food.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think that from your discussion and our questions, it looks like it's just more of a comfortable setting and more of a, just a convenience aspect of the customer, because it can be pretty tight in there when it's busy.
Yes, I've heard that, and that's one of the reasons we're definitely looking at making this walkway 5 feet through here, because both, wait staff and customers in this area now, they don't have any choice. Now, as part of the addition, we have added a back door for the wait staff, so they may be able to come around like this if this is, so we're trying to get it so that you don't have people tripping over people.
Yeah.
Essentially, what's going on there now.
As part of the addition, any concerns or issues with any drainage on that east side?
I don't think so. We have good green space to slope our drive into, and plus, I'm sure there's storm out here on the road for this portion, but we have good green space to be able to get our drainage in now. And there is a driveway there now. We're making it, it's 12-foot wide, we're making it 14-foot wide, so we are going a little bit more impervious, but I don't think we have a problem with that, given the amount of lawn and we have out front.
Did you receive a copy of the PRC's comment as it related
I did.
to the curb cut and the feasibility of looking to remove versus relocating?
Well, it's really a problem, since both drives now are currently not two-way based on their width, and the fact that they are two properties, and they really should have a curb cut on each one. And I think that's going to be a bit of an issue if that is a problem. Because I think the owner would probably choose not to do anything if he can't maintain a curb cut there.
Okay. So that certainly will be, require some additional discussion with the PRC, as, and I'll just so note that to Mr. Costello as part of that, just to take a look at that and make sure that this item, as identified by the PRC at their May 11th meeting, to make sure we work through that. So.
Yeah, part of that is, Mott's Lane is good for some of that, but also it is difficult at each end of that on a busy day to get out. I've been a victim of that a couple different times, waiting to get on the 5 Mile line, stacked up, and then you can't make a left at the other end, forget it. You gotta make a right and loop around some other way, so.
Okay. All right, board, other comments for the applicant or the owner of the property at this time?
Not this time.
Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address this particular matter? Okay. I'd ask staff anything that wasn't entered into the record that you believe should be part of the record on this matter. All right, thank you. Board, one last opportunity for any questions or comments? Okay. And then to the applicant, any additional comments that you would like to add to the record on this matter? We're good. Okay. So let's talk about, before I close the hearing, let's talk about next steps. Next steps is that the next opportunity that the board could take this up for discussion would be next Wednesday, the 25th. That would be part of the work session. And we do that here in this room, right here in the back. All those meetings are open to the public. You're certainly welcome to come. I would encourage you to take a look at the agenda anytime early afternoon on Friday. That's when we have the agenda published. And if you're on there, just to verify that you're on there, because we don't want anyone to make a trip in if it's not on the agenda. But there's nothing right now that doesn't indicate that we wouldn't at least have some continued conversations on this matter next Wednesday. Okay, great. I'll declare this public hearing officially closed, and we'll move on to communications and announcements, and I'll start with our town clerk, please.
Thank you, Mr. Supervisor. The town of Penfield will be hosting its annual free rabies vaccination clinic on Saturday, June 4th, from 10 a.m. to noon at the Public Works Complex, 1607 Jackson Road. The clinic is a service for dogs and cats of Penfield residents. Dogs must be leashed and cats must be in carriers. All pets must be at least 3 months old. And for more information, please call me at 585-340-8629. Also, I have a save the date. Please join the Penfield Business Chamber, formerly known as the Penfield Business Association, for the 6th annual golf tournament to benefit the Shepherd Home on Monday, July 25th at the Penfield Country Club. To register for the golf tournament as a sponsor or for yourself or as a foursome, please go to www.penfieldbusiness.org. And for questions and more information, please call 348-8360. Thank you.
340?
I'm sorry, 348. I'm
340.
Oh, 340-8360. It says 348-8360. I'm so sorry.
All right, so I think we've got that now.
And I don't even have it.
Got it.
Got the bloopers reel.
Thank you. Mr. Quinn.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. Penfield's annual Memorial Day Ceremony of Remembrance will be held Monday, May 30th at 10:30 a.m. at Veterans Memorial Park. This year's guest speaker will be Legislator George Hebert, Penfield resident, U.S. Navy veteran, and Monroe County legislator. Music will be performed by the Penfield Pops Band. Reserve a rose in honor or memory of a friend or loved one who has served or is serving in our nation's armed forces. This presentation of roses takes place during the ceremony. If interested, please call Sabrina Renner at 340-8651 to participate or visit penfieldrec.org for more information. Thank you.
Thank you. Mrs. Metzler.
I have one announcement and one brief recognition tonight. My announcement is just a reminder. From time to time, I will be reminding folks in Penfield about a new initiative between the Monroe County Sheriff's Office, Zone A, Crime Prevention, and myself on behalf of the town of Penfield. The Neighborhood Watch, a joint initiative between the Sheriff's Office and the town. This initiative has been started in the town and is going strong in terms of social media and other initiative methods that we can use for neighborhoods to keep safe and to have a way to communicate within each other. So if anyone is interested, either homeowners associations or neighborhood residents, please email me at metzler@penfield.org, and I would be happy to set up a time to come out with the Sheriff's Office and show you our program and get your neighborhood started on a Neighborhood Watch initiative within either your neighborhood or your homeowners association. Secondly, I just want to briefly recognize Penfield resident Mitchell Krenzer. In full disclosure, he is my nephew, and last weekend the town had our spring drop-off, May 13th and 14th, over at the Highway Department. And for the second year in a row, Mitchell joined forces with our DPW employees to keep vacuums out of landfills. Mitchell has started a program called Vacuums for Vets, and what he does is he collects vacuums that are either broken or have been discarded. He cleans them, he refurbishes them, and donates them to veterans in need and veterans who may be entering the community or independent living, and it's a special talent of his. I'm very proud to be his aunt. I don't have the mechanical talent that he has, but he thought of this initiative himself, and together we put our heads together and thought, well, you know, where do people drop off things that end up in landfills? The spring drop-off in the town of Penfield. So both last year and this year, our town highway employees were incredible about being enthusiastic and supportive of Mitchell in this endeavor. They set aside vacuums, shop vacs, parts, accessories, anything that looked like it could go to a vacuum, set aside for him. And on Saturday at the end of the drop-off, he came along with his father in a big truck and hauled away 17 vacuums. So that's 17 vacuums that will be kept out of the landfill and that he is hard at work now refurbishing to donate to vacuums for vets, his own initiative. So I just wanted to give him kudos for that once again. He's off to Duquesne University next year to study forensic accounting, so we may have to get him back here on a weekend to get some more vacuums next year.
Fantastic. All right.
Thanks.
Thank you. I do have one announcement. The town offices will be closed on Monday, the 30th of May, in observance of Memorial Day. Also, the library will be closed on Saturday and Sunday, in addition to Monday, the 28th and 29th. They'll take that whole weekend off. So if you've got any plans for the library, please do it by Friday night, because they will then be closed until that following Tuesday morning. Mr. Moore.
Thank you. Join the American Legion Bremen Post, Penfield's Local History Room, and Penfield Trails Committee on Memorial Day, May 30th at 1:30 p.m. for a veterans recognition at Smith Pioneer Cemetery on Gloria Drive in East Penfield. The event will honor deceased veterans and educate interested citizens in the ongoing restoration and upkeep effort, primarily directed at restoring weathered and collapsed headstones. The event is free and open to the public. For more information, please visit penfieldrec.org. Also, the town of Penfield will hold a music and food truck rodeo at the Penfield Amphitheater and Kiwanis Stage on Friday, May 27th at 5 p.m. and continue to 8 p.m. This annual event will kick off Penfield's summer amphitheater season. The event will feature local food trucks, Tony Tomatoes, Wood-Fired Pizza, Cheesed and Confused, the Meatball Truck, Doughboys, Smoothies Plus, Macarolin, and Le Petit Poutine, thank you. The trucks will have windows open at about 4:30 p.m. The music will be performed by the Penfield School District music groups. Please bring your own lawn chair and blanket. For more information, visit penfieldrec.org. And it's always a wonderful event at the amphitheater. I think last year it was a record attendance. So if you want to come and have a good time, we'll see you there. Thank you.
Continuing on with food, on this Saturday, May 21st, there are two great Penfield Community Pancake Breakfast fundraisers. One will be held at the East Penfield Baptist Church from 8 to 11. The church is located at 2535 Penfield Road. All proceeds from the breakfast will be used to repair and restore a historic stained glass window in the church. The second pancake breakfast will be held at the First Baptist Church of Penfield from 8 to 10, located at 1862 Penfield Road. All proceeds from that breakfast go directly to the Penfield Ecumenical Food Shelf. And my other announcement is that my next community chat will be in June 21st, 5:30 to 7, the new book area in the library. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And then just one last item, so that our town clerk will, in fact, sleep well tonight, as well as the rest of us. Our team downstairs, right hot off the press, has shared the information on the Shepherd Home Golf Tournament. And our exchange here at the Town Hall is 340. The number to contact is, in fact, 348-8360, or info@penfieldbiz.org. So I want to make sure our town clerk sleeps well tonight, and we did not give out any misinformation.
And we do have a brochure that tells all that information that you can find here at the town hall or at the Shepherd Home.
Great, thank you very much. Our next item is public participation, and while I'm giving some facts and data, it'll give our clerk an opportunity to go and gather the sheets that may have, and oh, she's already ahead of me. 3 ways to do that. If you're here in the audience, you can address the board on any matter. You can call in at 340-8771, or you can log on at penfield.org. And I saw that we did have a few notes in the tray, so we'll start with number 1, please.
Okay, Robert Colangelo.
Good evening, Robert.
Good evening, how are you?
Very well.
I have a couple of questions. I've been, obviously I'm not on, this is about the Shadow Pines Committee.
Sure
the
thing.
Moratorium. And I've been watching the videos. They're not for popcorn, but They're interesting to watch. And I guess I have some comments that I wanted to share and get your opinions here on the board. But first, thank you all for the effort in putting that committee together and all the work that goes into that. That's not easy to do. However, I do have some, I'll call them disappointments in terms of how they're being guided. I'm part of the group that's been involved in looking at what to do with Shadow Pines since the whole issue started. And one of the things that seems to me critical is using the master plan that your predecessors or someone spent a lot of time doing and looking at what we should do. Not that that needs to be the only Bible, but I get the impression that the group is being tasked to start greenfield as if nothing else had ever existed. And I think that's a mistake, because not only have we paid for a process that went on before as residents, a lot of smart people have participated, and there's a lot of good things in there. But they're basically being told, and when members of the committee try to bring that up, the facilitator sort of shuts it down. And so I'm very concerned that that process is going on that way and that the master plan isn't the starting point. Why? Because the master plan actually lays out what should have happened with Shadow Pines over time. And if we're not going to look at that, then I think we're not going to be very successful in putting together a real plan. The ideas that are out there, starting from scratch isn't going to be productive, I think. And there's a lot of people on the committee, again, with all due respect to everyone there, that don't have a clue. They're starting from scratch. They're just learning what's gone on. They haven't read the documents yet. And so I'm tempered in my comments in the fact that they're just getting started. So that's comment one as feedback.
I'll be more than happy to give you some feedback. Early on in the process, those members that were selected were encouraged to read the comprehensive plan as well as the zoning ordinance, and certainly use those as tools. And as they go through, I think this board has been very specific that we're willing to look at everything and anything. And I guess that comment in itself says that anything and everything is fair game. And so I would expect that as they roll that information up, that they have taken a look at everything and anything and have fed that back into this board.
I heard that was the instruction, and I don't think everyone has read it from watching the videos. And there's nothing we can do about that. But what
you lead the horse to water, as they say, right?
Exactly. But what concerns me more is that the facilitator is seems to be directing always away from the master plan and sort of, we need new ideas and starting from scratch. So that's something just to be aware of. Okay. Which brings me to, the things that are off limits. I understand the quarry being off limits. I don't understand traffic being off limits. Last night I had my kickoff meeting for the Penn Rec Soccer. It took me close to 25 minutes to go from 1925 Clark Road to the community center, and 99% of that time was on the corner of the cemetery and Baird Road. The building that's starting over on 5 Mile Line, I don't know what's going to happen on that corner. So maybe it's not part of this committee, but there's a traffic conversation that has to happen in Penfield soon, if it isn't happening already.
So the traffic and traffic component is not off limits by any means. And so if somebody has indicated that in some way, shape, or form, because one of the things that I said early on when I charged the committee is that if you need experts in and around traffic, sanitary sewers, anything to do with stormwater management, anything like that, that will make that available. So if you go back and take a look at that early tape where I charged the committee, that was one of the things that I was very specific about.
That's why I'm here, because there's a discrepancy between what I hear happening in the sessions and what the instructions were.
I watched the video as well, so refresh me. Who said traffic is not to be a factor?
In one of the debates, I'd have to look at the exact time in the video, there was a time when someone was bringing up the issue of traffic, and the quarry and traffic are not to be discussed. It was sort of,
who said?
I'd have to go back and get you the information.
Okay.
Mr. Canangelo, I can answer that question very simply for you. Traffic is a part of the discussion.
Good.
I'm looking at the minutes of the meeting, and the committee came together with a SWOT perspective on that, strength, weakness, opportunities, threats. Traffic is number 3 under consideration. So all the committees all 5 of those committees will be talking about traffic at some point.
Okay.
Obviously, the committee members are members of the 22-member committee or the subcommittees.
That's correct.
So the discussion's going to be amongst themselves, but certainly traffic is a part of that. So if someone mentioned to you that traffic was off limits, they are absolutely wrong.
Well, I heard it in the videos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll watch it
I'll go
again.
back and look.
Yeah, I'll watch it again, because
Yeah.
I would echo what he said as well, as far as the matrices. And with respect to the quarry, and Supervisor LaFountain may also comment this, there seems to be misperception out there, and that's always a concern. People have certain opinions, agendas that they want to skew a certain way. And in doing so, the misperception that I heard from some committee members, that they're concerned about the misperception, of course, they're charged, they're owning this committee, is that there is to be no talk about the quarry. In fact, the quarry is part of the matrices that is on there to be considered. I think where the telephone game or the misrepresentation got is that somebody seemed to translate to mean you are not to talk about the quarry. No, the committee is not charged with deciding what
That's
happens
correct.
with the quarry.
That's what
And I
that
hope
means.
that that's how you, if that's how you
exactly
interpret it,
yes.
that's.
And that's why I said
yeah,
at the beginning,
right.
I
Because
understand
think
why the quarry wouldn't be part of.
It's certainly
the-
part of the discussion.
The impact of the quarry on the decision of the Shadow Pines certainly has to be considered.
Yes.
What is not up for discussion is should there be a quarry or not, and that kind of, I understand that
Yes.
perfectly.
Or- yeah,
That's
and
clear.
Or the effects of the.
That's the way it was
I'm
that's the way
glad,
it
because
was.
I've, we hear feedback, but it's not necessarily, it's second, third hand.
No, that's
or-
why I watched the
yeah.
videos, and when that came
Yeah.
up, I understood exactly why, and
Yeah.
that doesn't mean we agree.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's a whole
Absolutely.
different conversation.
Yeah.
But the charter for the group doesn't include
Yeah.
deciding whether there should be a quarry, and
or deciding what's going to happen at in the quarry in 30 years.
That's correct.
So, yes, so I want to clear that, because that's one misperception that has
But you have a
been
master
raised to
plan
me.
that starts to address that,
Certainly, yep.
right?
And I agree with you. I would hope that every member of the committee would read the master plan, the 2010 master plan, because it does talk about properties throughout Penfield, and it just educates the committee member just a little bit more when they come to the table with ideas or suggestions or concerns, good or bad.
Right.
Having that document, understanding that document only makes them a better committee member. So I
guess the
concur.
only subtlety is I would say that not only should they read it, it should be the starting point for the conversation.
Yeah.
And it may be in the subcommittees. Certainly, I think some of the conversation was kind of taking a little deeper dive in a large committee level that maybe they pull back, so now the subcommittees can do that. And I can say that as far as the comp plan, I don't know who has read it, but when members were invited to be on the committee, they were immediately, the first thing they were given was an electronic version of the comp plan. So not even a link, an actual electronic version for them.
Okay. The second or third or fourth topic we're on is the facilitator himself. I know they're just getting started, and I forget the SWAT equivalent of storming, forming, and whatever happens with committees. I know they're in that initial phase. They've only had a few meetings. But I guess I'd like to understand how that person was chosen, because I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not very impressed with his process and what he's doing. And I'd also like to understand what he's being paid and why we picked someone from Syracuse, because I would have expected there's a lot of people here in town that would do that job well. If you were thinking maybe that, getting someone from out of town would make it better somehow, then okay, that's a possibility. But I'd like to understand the thoughts that went into selecting the
Absolutely.
person.
And as we looked at individuals to lead that group, certainly one of the things that this board has been criticized by a number of people, rightly or wrongly, and social media has a tendency to exaggerate some of these types of things. But one of the things that this board has been very upfront about, and that is to say that we wanted to make sure that the perception was that we weren't trying to steer this one way or the other. And having folks around here locally, certainly a lot of very qualified individuals. I personally spoke with a number of different individuals. It was determined by this board having someone that was not necessarily familiar with, this area, that did have facilitation skills and background was someone that we were looking for. And this is an individual that we did, in fact, vet out. And he, he'll be with us through this journey of the process.
Can you share what we're paying him?
Absolutely. It's a not to exceed figure of $8,000. This board passed a resolution 2 meetings ago. So if you want to go online and see that, you have that ability to either 2 or 3 meetings.
And that's for the whole
ago.
process? For the whole?
That is correct.
Okay. And I just want to close with, I have to ask you the questions because you guys are the ones sitting here, but my frustration is not with you. It's with your predecessors who allowed us to get to this point without doing what they should have done. So for what it's worth.
So this is what I'll say. This is what I'll say. And there were 5 supervisors, including now myself, that had an opportunity to have some influence on that back whenever. And I'm not going to sit and I'll also say that both Democrats and Republicans. So this is not a political statement. This is a statement that I believe that what happened is that when the golf courses were put in and so popular, that everybody made the assumption, right or wrong, everybody made the assumption that they would be there forever. So as we went through multiple renditions of our comprehensive plan or master plan, depending upon what you want to refer to it as, that assumption was that it would continue on as it was. Obviously, hindsight says that here we are today facing what do we do with these 2 golf courses. And that's why I was also very specific when I charged the board, or excuse me, the committee, to say that even though there is an active buyer for Shadow Lake and it appears as though it's going to be sold, I do not want 100% of the effort to be concentrated on Shadow Pines. We need to make sure we're looking at both, because the thing I didn't want to have happen is that it sells today, sells this sometime this month or next month, and then 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, whatever administration is sitting here is faced with the same type of problem. So what I said is that we have to work equally hard at Shadow Lake as we do Shadow Pines so that we don't have a problem down the road. And I still feel that that's very important to make sure we do that, even though it appears as though Shadow Lake will be operated, maintained, and run exactly as it has been for the last 32, 3, 4, 5 years.
Great. Thank you very much.
Okay. Thanks for coming in, Robert. Thank you.
Jeff Burns.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Burns, 39 Scarborough Park. I'm here as a member of the Save Shadow Pines group. We have a website and over 1,300 followers on our Facebook page. We are committed to saving Shadow Pines from development. Many of us would prefer to see Shadow Pines remain as a golf course, but if that's not feasible, we'd certainly like to see it protected as open space, just as the town has done before on many occasions for various parcels of agricultural land around the town. I have a couple of questions about the moratorium task force. One is, I have a concern. There's only scheduled 4 meetings of the committee at large, and are they being rushed into making their recommendations is a concern I have. Is this enough time to vet the various ideas?
So what we said, Jeff, as they put the schedule together, we've got to go back and take a look at March 31st of 2017. That's when the moratorium ends. So if you back up from that, we need to have the committee vet things out, get it to us, give the board an opportunity to study whatever those recommendations are. If any legislation, rezoning, anything else that has to be done, you have to allow for the proper time for advertisement and what have you. The committee also, recognized the fact that the longer it drags out, the less interest people have, or they just don't see things happening. So what we've said is that if we need additional meetings, we'll do additional meetings. But on the other side of the coin, it's easy to just sit back and have large gaps in between meetings with nothing getting done. And I think that's part of the reason why some of the subgroups were broken up, and they'll be meeting to discuss different aspects of things that they've attempted to vet out.
But so the committee can, among themselves, decide to meet longer, that if they think they need more time to vet the issues, they can
Yes,
extend it.
but this isn't going to go on forever, ever either, Jeff.
Right.
Jeff, actually, in the initial meeting, in the first meeting, the committee made the determination itself to actually expedite the schedule up front. And I think some 15 or 20 minutes of that meeting was actually dedicated to picking a second or third meeting date and a potential site walk for moving the process along quicker than.
Well, I understand they added a meeting, but the
Right.
deadline still remained, which is very, it's pretty quick. It's the end of July, it's my understanding, will they make their
Yeah, it's 2
recommendations.
months. It's
And if
2+ months away.
If they don't feel like they are ready, then they could come to you and say, look, we need more time.
Absolutely.
All right, good.
But again,
I know you don't wanna drag
we're
that,
pressed
yeah.
on the other end, Jeff.
Sure.
Because.
It's gonna take time to do the other things, yeah.
We filed with the Secretary of State to say that this is a 1 year. And if there are certain things that we have to do, and legal things that we have to do, we need time to do those as well. And we've got to show good progress because that's one of the things that, you can't put a moratorium in place forever.
Sure.
And as like one person indicated, I think during the public hearing, we need to go through and make sure we're vetting out properly and moving, in an expeditious way.
Right, okay. So another concern, in terms of the selection of the people on the committee, the Nature Conservancy had played an important role in protecting other sites in Penfield, including Rothfuss Park and the 1,000-acre swamp area. Why isn't there any representation from any of the land trusts or from Nature Conservancy here? It seems to me it's, without that we're not really looking at everything and anything.
Well, and I'll say to you, that's the reason for the Conservation Board member there, and again, I'll reiterate that if we need to bring in any experts to meet with the committee, we'll in fact do that. But again, we were trying to, keep this committee reasonably efficient, and, if left to just add folks, we would be a committee of, hundreds. And so we, this board, looked at those resources that, and what they brought to the table. And so certainly our Conservation Board, who's in contact with Nature Conservancy and Genesee Land Trust and places like that, certainly that's a contact or a line to get them to come in and speak with the group.
Right. Yeah, it seemed like they have been such a strong partner with Penfield in the past that they really could have added a lot to this committee to be involved with this.
Okay.
But I'll suggest this to them, to that committee, to the task force. It would be good to remind them that they can bring in experts such as this, but I think that
Sure.
would be very good. So Robert brought up that concerning the quarry, and I heard your ground rules in the beginning, and my understanding it was instructing the task force not to spend a lot of time on the quarry, and that it was one of the areas that would be off limits for them. Now, I understand that you're saying tonight that it doesn't mean that they can't talk about the quarry in terms of a buffer issue, that land, Shadow Pines and Shadow Lake, have acted as a buffer, so they can discuss.
Certainly part of their recommendations. However, what I would say is that they should spend a majority of the time on those properties that are under the moratorium, which is Shadow Lake and Shadow Pines properties. Those are the two that are under
I understand.
moratorium. And I've said through Mr. Peckham that certainly if they want to provide some comments about the quarry, about being a buffer to one or both of whatever happens at Shadow Lakes and Shadow Pines, that's certainly part of that. But,
Yeah.
We have an active quarry that currently with a permit lasting for more than 30 years and a potential opportunity to extend the life of that quarry as well.
Okay, I guess I'm still not clear there, so that we have land at Shadow Pines and Shadow Lake where the quarry owner themselves have described that land as, they said, surrounding land use trends are not affected by the mining operation due to the large amounts of undeveloped buffer zones owned by Dolomite and by the relatively low-key development of other adjacent lands. So selling this land off to a potential developer means that those buffers will not exist anymore. And in fact, there'll be houses where there was once an area that the quarry owners themselves described as a buffer zone. So I think it's critical for the task force committee to be able to discuss whether it's even rational to build any residential property within that buffer zone. So I want to clarify, or have clarification from you as to what are the limits of what the task force can discuss in terms of I'm not looking at it from the direction of the quarry. I'm looking at it from Shadow Pines and the effect that Shadow Pines land will have from the quarry. There's a lot of explosions there, a couple of times a week usually, and there's an asphalt plant there.
Right.
Shouldn't this task force be charged also with looking at, what will that effect be on that land? Is it a buildable spot? And what
Certainly, that's one of the components, Jeff.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean,
That's what I wanted to clarify.
that's one of the components.
I believe implicit in the matrices involving the quarry as a factor is exactly that. And there was some talk in the meeting about even reaching out to Dolomite for geology information and research, seismology, and things like that. So certainly that blows up, pardon the pun, any conclusion or misinterpretation that the quarry is somehow off limits.
Well, I think it was very understandable why there would be that misunderstanding. I mean, the very first part of the, when Supervisor LaFountain spoke, he said this is one of the limitations, and I think that there was room for misinterpretation. And it was also added by the fact that the facilitator himself shut people down after they were talking about the quarry for a while, and they were talking partly about this issue that I'm raising tonight, and he still shut them down. So I would ask the Supervisor if you would please talk with the facilitator and clarify
I think that's
what
already
could be
been,
talked
I think that's
about.
already been addressed.
Okay.
I think the second meeting really shows that in terms of how much the quarry is
Well,
discussed.
this
at
was the second meeting where
the second meeting.
I heard the facilitator say at one point, look, we've talked, I've gone back to the board, and they've clarified to me that we shouldn't be spending much time on the quarry. But the issue that was being discussed at that point was this very issue as to what the effect on potential development there would be from that quarry, from explosions and from, they haven't brought up anything about the asphalt plant, to my knowledge, yet. But
Well, and also, Jeff, some of the conversation from the committee was starting to go down the road of, is there going to be allowed swimming at the quarry when it fills up? And, what type of use is going to happen at the quarry? So I think, what the facilitator was trying to say, and maybe he wasn't clear in what he was saying, but was that we shouldn't be focusing on what the uses of the quarry property should be.
Yeah.
So
Well-
it was a little bit of both.
Yeah, well, even in that regard, though, I would ask you to, that, in terms of long-term land use planning, shouldn't we be looking at what happens to that quarry? Is that, whether it's 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, that there'll be a lake there? Last I heard is that they expect that it will fill up within a few feet of the rim there. And shouldn't that be part of looking at land use of that whole area over a long time? It would be such a waste of a wonderful option that the community, that the town would have for the future to be thinking about what we would have there. What will that land be worth when there's lakefront land there? And it can be developed in such a way that you could have various things very close to the lake and do some very smart development close to a lake there. If we end up letting development occur right near there, it will rule out a lot of the options that we'd have going forward. So I understand you don't want them to concentrate on the disposition of the quarry, but to do a smart job of looking long-term, which we should be doing, they should at least think about how that land fits in with what's going to happen to that quarry in the future.
Okay.
So can they include that in terms of part of what they're...
We'll charge the committee, Jeff.
Thank you. Okay, good. Now, the committee, up to this point, has been divided into 5 subcommittees, 3 of which concern developing shadow pines. There's one on housing, R120. There's one regarding cluster homes, and there's one on mixed use. So you have 5 subcommittees in that task force right now, 3 of which are looking into ways of developing shadow pines. I'm a bit concerned about that. You only have 1 subcommittee that's looking at open space for shadow pines. So out of 20 resident members of the task force, only 6 are looking at ways of preserving shadow pines and open space, or as possibly a golf course. And there have to be a number of options that are available. I'm surprised that there aren't a couple of subcommittees looking at different ways of protecting that land for open space.
Okay.
Well, Jeff, I would say to you that the committee members themselves determine what subcommittees were going to be discussed. So your comments should be directed back to the committee itself. If you're unhappy with what the subcommittees are and who's on those subcommittees, they decided what those subcommittees were going to be comprised of and what the topic was going to be. I think that, your point as far as development goes, the subcommittees may not come out with a recommendation to do anything. I mean, one of them, obviously, is the one that shadow pine should be developed for single-family detached residential. It doesn't mean that they're going to come out and say that should happen. They could come out and say it shouldn't happen, and this is why. So I think your comment that 3 of them will come out with recommendations supporting development is a little premature at this point, because we don't know what the discussions are.
Well, it
at
may
this
be. I'm
point.
just saying that 3 out of 5 of the committees are looking at ways to develop that land rather than 3 out of 5 looking at ways to preserve that land.
But the committee members themselves decided
Yeah, they
what
could.
they were going
I
to look at.
understand.
Well, they did.
This
They
town
did.
board
We
didn't decide.
we didn't decide that, Jeff. I mean, that was them.
Oh, I understand.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, so you're making a note of it, which is fine, but
Okay.
I'm
Well,
not going to go back and tell
I'm not
the
telling you to.
22 folks
Yep.
that they're wrong and they shouldn't be doing that.
Right.
We
No, I-
asked them to look at everything and anything.
Okay.
And when they come back, we'll take a look at any and all recommendations that they make.
Well, I appreciate, Andy, what you said, and I'll take that to heart. So, in other words, the community should give feedback to the task force committee as well and say, hey, look, we think you should be looking at other areas
Sure.
besides just
Well,
what you're
you're going
looking
to,
at this
and you're
point.
going to have an opportunity for a public information meeting coming up where yourself and others can come in. And the purpose of that is for the committee members to hear, from soup to nuts about what you as a individual resident would like to see. Whether they agree with you or like it or support it, that's another story.
Sure.
But the purpose of the information meeting is to vet that out and to give them an opportunity to listen to what the residents might feel that are either live adjacent to either one of those properties, or someone that lives on the County Line Road, the first property in Penfield. So that'll be coming up, and everybody will have an opportunity to vet that out.
And I would just also add, Jeff, that if one of the committee members is not happy, or they decide down the road that maybe another subcommittee needs to be formed, they've got every right to bring that up and attempt to form that subcommittee. These 5 subcommittees, the way I heard the meeting go and the conversation among the committee members, this isn't in stone. There could be additions to these. And so, at the end of the day, if there is a group that says, you know what, we forgot about this, maybe we should look into, X, Y, and Z, because it's not one of the 5 committees, they have every right to bring that up to the committee and form another subcommittee. So I think there's plenty of opportunities and time to vet through some of these. And, I don't necessarily see all the recommendations coming out saying, this is what you should be doing. I think maybe some of the subcommittees will come out and say, you know what, after further, investigation, getting all the data, getting all the facts and the details, this may not be the best use of the plan. I just think it's too early to start saying, something that we assume what the results of the committees or the subcommittees discussions will be.
No, I
when
haven't
they
stated any
just
results because there
started.
aren't any. I'm just saying, that this is the direction, in terms of what the committees are at this point.
And I will defend each and every member of that committee, Jeff. These are residents who've volunteered to come and spend a great deal of time on camera discussing what is becoming somewhat of a controversial topic. We have many opinions in town about what should be done with this property. There is not a consensus. And I will defend them from anyone who's dismissing them because of what committee they might be on.
I haven't heard anybody
Because
dismiss anybody from any committee. You know,
Because I
nobody
think-
said anything of the sort.
Because
so.
I think that the subcommittees are going to be bringing back their information to the entire committee to then present to them their findings, and then all of them can deliberate. So I think I don't think it's accurate to say that there's a certain number of people who are only considering this. The entire committee will consider all the findings.
Well, I think Andy addressed my question clearest, is that I think if we can, if it's fine for us to get our opinions known to the committee itself and say, hey, and give them some other ideas and say, hey, look, there's other options, that's fine with me. And
Absolutely.
that's very good.
Yep,
And I
absolutely.
do think they're going to have a public information meeting. I don't think it's a public hearing, but it's an opportunity for members of the public to come and talk about what some of the ideas that they have. Am I correct on that,
That's-
Supervisor?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, certainly the public information meeting that'll be coming up, and I think they're looking to do that in June. And then on our website, there's an opportunity to submit a form with anyone's individual thoughts, comments, and what have you, and then that information gets directed to all the committee members. So it's not just one. I mean, if I were one committee member and I was getting hundreds of calls from folks, I probably would stop taking your phone calls. And I'd put a message out to say, welcome it, but in the interest of my time and trying to do my due diligence, come to the public information meeting and put your information on the record, and submit information online, and all of that will get to all the members and not just one in particular member.
Right.
Yeah.
So one of the things Robert brought up was about that the town.
Are you speaking for Robert, or are you speaking for yourself?
I'm speaking for myself.
Okay.
But
I just want to make sure.
Understood. Well, he had brought up about the moratorium committee having received some instruction to read the comprehensive plan and town code, and I'm wondering why this wasn't one of the ground rules in terms of proposals or the way that things work, is to look at things in the context of what the town has already done, the comprehensive plan and the open space plan. There was no instruction at that opening meeting to say something like that here we have a comprehensive plan, we have an open space plan, we should look at this in the context of what we've already been doing.
We sent that email.
I know it was sent in a letter, but
sent to everyone individually.
Yeah, but it seems it should have greater importance, and that the facilitator was very quick to stop some people when they talked about the quarry, but there hasn't been any emphasis on the comprehensive plan and the open space plan, and I would just like to see in fact, it would probably be good to go do a presentation about those to them, is to have.
And that was part of what staff did at the beginning of the first meeting.
Well, I don't know that it was as comprehensive as it could have been.
Well,
anyways, yeah.
one of the suggestions I would have, Jeff, is that, if there's members of the committee that feel that strongly about it, which is fine, because I agree, I would hope that all the committee members would read it. It was sent to them early on in the stages, and I realize it's maybe not the most exciting document to read, but it gives them some background and some facts on where things are and where things are going. That the members of the committee amongst themselves could say, can we take a look at the comprehensive plan? Can we take a look at page whatever we want, or can we discuss this, section, whatever in the comprehensive plan, and get the committee to do that right there and then, if there's consensus among the committee members to do it. So, if you're saying that they should have read this, I don't disagree. I would hope that they would, but there's an opportunity for the committee members to still do that. They can still take a look at it, whether at a committee meeting or maybe on their own. It's just the committee members themselves should raise that issue amongst the other committee members and really try to encourage them to read the document, or let's spend 10 minutes at the next moratorium committee meeting and review section 5, just so everybody in the committee has an understanding. I can't force them to do that. This board has decided which I think is the right decision, to be hands-off. Let the committee members do what they want to do. Let them be independent. They themselves, I think, need to come up with those
No, I'm not
type of-
suggesting that. I'm just suggesting that,
Yeah.
in terms of the guidance that you provide and in terms of the information that's available to them, that
Well,
part of the
they've heard-
guidance
They've
would-
heard it multiple times. They've heard it multiple, I mean, the
Okay.
fact of the matter, they've heard it multiple times. So if you think that, they should hear it one more time, certainly we'll take that as part of the, information back for the committee.
All right, thank you.
And remember too, Jeff, that staff is right there, and our staff is
Right.
always mindful of the plans that they were involved in guiding those committees. So I do have faith that staff members, as they're sitting there, they're not going to let that issue fall off a cliff, so to speak, if it's important for them to remind the committee of, oh, this plan says this plan says that. I'm confident that they will do that. That's part of their role.
Okay, thank you. Now, there has been something I've heard a couple of times now, and I just want to have it clarified and make sure if you can tell me either substantiated or not. I had heard a few times that Shadow Pines had been offered to the town at some sort of a discounted price. Is this true? Has there been some move by Oldcastle or Dolomite to sell Shadow Pines to the town?
The answer is no.
No offers, no suggestion of an offer. Okay, that puts that at rest. I guess the last thing I would say is just from myself, in terms of what where I would like to see this to go is, I think there are many good reasons for the town of Penfield to purchase this land. I think it's the most important opportunity Penfield has ever had to preserve open space. We've done things on agricultural land. There's never been an opportunity like this, right in the middle of town. Very important piece of land. It's got this future lake that's going to be there. Just think of what the possibilities are there. It could actually save money for Penfield taxpayers per the analysis of Sam Ogie gave the presentation a few weeks ago here. If residential development is done there in the scale that has been discussed in the past, it could increase our school tax bill by more than $1 million every single year. And at the price that I hear floated around about Shadow Pines is anywhere from, I don't know, $3 million to $6 million or something. And I've been hearing that $2.5 to $3 million might be an opportunity for the town. I think the town should go for it. I don't think that we should wait a long time. That we should, that the opportunity is so great that we shouldn't lose that opportunity. It will help to prevent the increase in traffic and congestion that we all know that would occur in that area. Tim Murphy pointed out that to the town board recently that the town currently has an unusually large surplus, and I appreciate having a surplus. I think it's a good thing to do that, and I know there
Tim
are
Murphy
good
is also inaccurate with that.
fiscal reason to do that. What was that?
His numbers are inaccurate.
Well, what are the accurate numbers then?
Well, he's quoting data that is more than a year old, 2 years old now, but that is, Mr. Supervisor, correct me if I'm wrong here, but the majority of those funds have been allocated to restricted accounts. So I think Tim is playing a little loose with semantics and as far as what a general reserve fund is and fund balance,
He had said
surplus.
that there was a kind of a window or a range of reserve fund, and we're well beyond that. Is that incorrect?
What I would say, and I've offered this before, and no one's taken me up on the offer, but if you'd like to come in and sit down with myself and our finance director and go through, we'll be more than happy to do that.
So what is the current status of the reserve fund now?
In my last communication with Barbara, I believe that the unrestricted fund balance, and I may be wrong on the actual terms, so I'd have to correct that, but I believe it was around $1.5 million.
Okay. All right, well, thanks for that.
Sure.
But that's just one of the reasons. I'm not saying that because we have money or because there's a surplus or whatever, but interest rates are also at historic low levels right now, and it's a good time for an investment that future generations will appreciate. We won't have this cheap money for much longer. Interest rates eventually are going to go up. And it's not a big investment relative to other recreational improvements that have been done in the town. Last night, we had a school district referendum, which included recreational improvements of over $3 million. And a couple of years ago, we had another one of around $3 million. It was part of the school funding. So that's still our tax money. We're still paying additional taxes for recreational things. So relative to that, this would be one-time payment of buying the land for perhaps $3 million. Why not make an offer at something close to that? And the potential savings on the property taxes are continuous thereafter. It seems like it would be a good financial decision for the town to do, as well as a good decision for the future of the town. So anyways.
And we'll see what the committee comes back with,
Yeah.
with their recommendations. And what I would encourage you to do while it's fresh in your mind is to go back and, log on at penfield.org and put that in writing to the committee
I will, yes.
so that the entire committee gets it.
Okay, well, I appreciate, and I appreciate your,
And I'd also encourage you to come to the public information meeting that they'll be holding in June.
I hope to be there, yeah.
Okay.
Good. Thank you very
All
much
right.
for your time, and
Thanks.
I know it was a lot of questions. Thanks.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thanks.
Anyone else that would like to address the board on any matter? Okay, we'll move on with additions and deletions to the agenda. I believe we have one addition, Mr. Moore.
Yes, Mr. Supervisor, if I could add Resolution 16T-134, titled Authorization to Maintain Properties and Assess the Charges to the 2017 Property Tax Bills.
I second that.
Okay, so it's been moved and seconded, and that will show up on the agenda as 16T-134. Thank you. We have the minutes of April 6, 2016 before us. I would entertain a motion of approval of those minutes.
I move that the minutes of April 6th be approved.
I'll second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Comments? Okay, seeing none, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
Thank you. Petitions. Has the board, town clerk, town attorney received any petitions since our last get-together? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to resolutions by function, starting with law and finance, please.
Authorize the town supervisor to execute contract for financial consulting services.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the town of Penfield engages professional services for financial consulting in connection with the town's capital project financing and other financial matters with Bernard P. Donegan Incorporated. Now be it resolved that the town supervisor is hereby authorized to accept and execute a letter and scope of service upon review from the town and approval from the town attorney. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes. Authorization for town supervisor to sign a professional service contract with ATIP Control, Inc. for a pilot pond treatment program.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas the town of Penfield sought quotes for professional pond treatment services to obtain the necessary permits from both the United States Army Corps and the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation to complete various treatments on 4 ponds within the town of Penfield. Whereas 3 quotes were obtained and ATIP Control Incorporated was the low bidder. Be it resolved that ATIP on Zerfus Road, Dansville, New York, is awarded a contract to provide professional services for pond treatment projects in Penfield. Be it further resolved that the supervisor is authorized to sign a contract for these services not to exceed $25,000. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? Seeing no discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
This takes us to old business. Is there any old business to come before the board this evening? Seeing none, I'll move to new business. Resolution 16T-134, please.
Authorization to maintain properties and assess the charges to the 2017 property tax bills.
Moved.
Second.
Whereas on December 16th, 2015, the town board of the town of Penfield adopted resolution and local law 3 of 2015 entitled, "A Local Law to Provide for the Confiscation and Local Laws Ordinance and Certain Resolutions in the Town of Penfield." Whereas the purpose of the code of the town of Penfield includes, among other things, to provide for the safety, health protection, and general welfare of persons within the town and by the town of Penfield by requiring the maintenance of such properties within the town. Whereas properties at 1800 Clark Road, 13 Empress Court, and 68 Woody Lane have failed to maintain subject properties in accordance with applicable code requirements, which result in concerns we have for safety, health protection, and general welfare of surrounding properties. Now therefore be it resolved that the Town Board of the Town of Penfield hereby authorizes the Fire Marshal and Building and Zoning and Code Compliance Supervisor to have the properties properly maintained. Be it further resolved that the Town Board further authorizes that said cost of the maintenance and any additional necessary maintenance during the 2016 season be charged to the 2017 property tax bill of that particular property. Thank you.
Thank you. Discussion? No. Seeing no discussion, I'd ask for a roll call vote, please.
Cole.
Aye.
LaFountain.
Aye.
Metzler.
Aye.
Moore.
Aye.
Quinn.
Aye.
5 ayes.
This brings us to our second public participation. Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the board on any matter? Okay, seeing none and seeing no further business to come before the board, the May 18th, 2016 legislative session of the town board is hereby adjourned at 8:16 p.m. Thank you for those that participated. Thank you to Penfield TV.